The Smile of a Stranger. Chapter 1. A Normal Day. My name is Anna. I live in a small town. It is a quiet town. I am 25 years old. I work in a library. I like books. I like the smell of old books. Every day is the same for me. I wake up at 7 o'clock. I eat breakfast. I eat toast and drink tea. I don't like coffee. After breakfast, I walk to the library. The library is not far from my house. It is a 10-minute walk. I see the same things every day. I see the big tree on the corner. I see the red car in front of Mr. Smith's house. I see the cat that sleeps on the wall. The cat is black and white. The people I see are also the same. I see Mrs. Davis. She is walking her small dog. The dog is very noisy. I see the postman. He always says good morning. I say good morning too. I work at the library from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. I help people find books. I put books back on the shelves. I like my job. It is quiet. I can read many books. But sometimes, I feel a little sad. My life is always the same. Nothing new happens. It is like reading the same page of a book every day. I want something different. I want a small surprise. One Tuesday, I was walking to the library. It was a normal Tuesday. The sky was gray. It looked like it was going to rain. I was wearing my blue coat. I felt a little cold. I saw the big tree. I saw the red car. I saw the black and white cat. Everything was the same. Then, I saw a man. I did not know him. He was not from my town. He was tall. He was wearing a brown hat and a long, dark coat. He was standing near the bus stop. He was not waiting for the bus. He was just looking at the street. Our eyes met for a second. And then, he smiled. It was a big, warm smile. It was like the sun coming out from behind the gray clouds. It was a beautiful smile. It was not a small smile. It was a real, happy smile. I was surprised. People in my town don't smile much at strangers. We are polite, but we are quiet. We keep to ourselves. I did not smile back. I was too surprised. I just looked at him for a moment. Then I looked down at my shoes and walked faster. My heart was beating fast. Why was my heart beating fast? It was just a smile. I walked into the library. My friend, Clara, was at the desk. Clara is also my co-worker. She is very friendly. She has bright red hair. Good morning, Anna, she said. You look different. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said. But I was not fine. I was thinking about the smile of the stranger. It was a small thing, but it felt big. It felt important. All day at work, I could not stop thinking about it. When I was putting books on the shelves, I thought about his smile. When I was helping an old lady find a cookbook, I thought about his smile. Why did he smile at me? Did he know me? I don't think so. I have a good memory for faces. I never saw him before. Maybe he was just a friendly person. Maybe he smiled at everyone. The thought made me feel a little less special. But still, the smile was for me. I saw it. It was a gift. A small, strange gift on a normal, gray Tuesday. When I walked home at 5 o'clock, the man was gone. The bus stop was empty. The street was quiet again. That night, I ate my dinner. I watched some television. But my mind was not on the television. It was on the corner of my street, at the bus stop. It was with a man in the brown hat. I went to bed, but I could not sleep for a long time. I closed my eyes, and I saw the smile. It was bright and warm. Maybe tomorrow will be different. I thought, maybe tomorrow, something new will happen again. That was the first day, the day I saw the smile of a stranger. It was the beginning of a change, a small change in my small, quiet life, and I did not know it yet, but it was the best change that could happen to me. Chapter 2, A Little Bit of Sun. The next morning, I woke up and the first thing I thought about was the smile. It was strange. I usually think about my toast and tea, but today, the smile was my first thought. I got out of bed and looked out the window. The sky was still gray, but I did not feel sad about it. I felt hopeful. It was a new feeling for me. I ate my breakfast. The toast tasted better today. The tea was warmer. Or maybe, I was just feeling different. I put on my blue coat and started my walk to the library. I walked a little slower today. I was looking around more. I wanted to see if the man was there again. I came to the corner. I looked at the bus stop. He was not there. I felt a little disappointed. It was a silly feeling. Why should I be disappointed? He was a stranger. I did not know him. But the feeling was there. I sighed and continued walking. I saw Mrs. Davis with her noisy dog. Today, I did not think the dog was so noisy. It was just a happy dog. I smiled a little. The postman said, "Good morning." Usually, I just say good morning back. But today, I said, "Good morning. I hope you have a great day." The postman was surprised. He stopped and looked at me. "Oh, well, thank you. You too," he said, and he smiled a big, real smile. It was not the stranger's smile, but it was a nice smile. It made me feel good. I felt warm inside, even though the air was cold. When I got to the library, Clara was there. "Good morning," she said. "You're in a good mood today." "Yes, I am," I said, and I smiled at her. A real smile. All day, I felt different. I was more patient with people. I helped a young boy find a book about dinosaurs. He was so happy. He had a big smile with missing teeth. It was a cute smile. I started to notice smiles everywhere. The old man reading the newspaper smiled when he saw a funny picture. The mother smiled at her baby. The baby smiled back. Smiles were like little bits of sun on a cloudy day. They were everywhere. I just did not see them before. Why did I not see them? Because I was not looking. I was always looking down at my shoes, at the ground. I was always in my own little world. The stranger's smile opened my eyes. It was like he opened a window in my small, quiet room. And now, the light was coming in. I still thought about the stranger. Who was he? Where did he come from? Where did he go? Maybe he was just visiting the town. Maybe he was on his way to another place. I would probably never see him again. The idea made me a little sad. I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for the smile. Thank you for opening my eyes. But I could not. So, I decided to do something else. I decided to pass the gift on. If I could not thank him, I could give his gift to someone else. On my way home, I saw a woman drop her bag of groceries. Oranges rolled all over the sidewalk. She looked very tired and upset. Usually, I would just walk past. I would feel sorry for her, but I would not do anything. I am a shy person. But today was different. I remembered the stranger's smile. I remembered the warm feeling. I walked over to the woman. "Let me help you," I said. She looked up, surprised. "Oh, thank you," she said. We picked up all the oranges. It only took a minute. "Thank you so much," she said again. "You are very kind." "It's no problem," I said. And then, I did it. I smiled. A big, warm smile. The kind of smile the stranger gave me. The woman's tired face changed. She smiled back. "Have a good evening," she said. "You too," I replied. I walked home, and I felt so happy. It was a new kind of happiness. It was not from a book. It was from a real moment, with a real person. My small, quiet life was not so small and quiet anymore. It was full of little bits of sun. And I was starting to feel like the sun myself. Chapter 3, Looking for the Smile. A week passed. Every day, I walked to the library with hope in my heart. I always looked at the bus stop on the corner, but the man in the brown hat was never there. My life was different now. I was not the same Anna. I smiled at people. I talked to them more. I said good morning to Mrs. Davis and her dog. I even asked the postman about his day. Clara noticed the change. "Anna, you are so cheerful now," she said one day during our lunch break. "What happened? Did you win the lottery?" I laughed. "No, nothing like that." "So what is it? A new boyfriend?" she asked, wiggling her eyebrows. I blushed a little. "No, it's just a smile." Clara looked confused. "A smile?" So I told her. I told her about the gray Tuesday, the tall man in the brown hat, and his beautiful, warm smile. I told her how it changed my day, and then my week. Clara listened carefully. "She is a good friend." "Wow," she said when I finished. "That's a lovely story. A magical smile." It felt magical, I agreed. "So, you want to find him again?" she asked. I nodded. "Yes, I just want to say thank you." Clara said, thinking. "He was at the bus stop. Maybe he was traveling. But you said he wasn't waiting for the bus." "That's right," I said. "He was just standing there." "Maybe he works near here," Clara suggested. "Or maybe he was visiting someone." Her words gave me an idea. A crazy idea. I was a shy person. I did not do crazy things. But the new Anna, the smiling Anna, was a little braver. "I'm going to look for him," I decided. Clara's eyes opened wide. "Really? How?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I will just look." So, I started my search. It was a secret mission. During my lunch break, I did not sit in the library and read. I walked around the town. My town is small, so it was not too difficult. I walked down Main Street. I looked in the windows of the shops. I looked at the people in the cafe. There were many faces, but none of them belonged to the man in the brown hat. I went to the park. I saw children playing. I saw old couples sitting on benches. I saw a young man playing a guitar. He was playing a happy song. I smiled at him, and he smiled back. But he was not the stranger. I even went to the train station. It was a small station, with only a few trains a day. I asked the man at the ticket counter. "Excuse me," I said, my voice a little shaky. "I'm looking for someone. He is tall, and he wears a brown hat." The man looked at me over his glasses. "A lot of men are tall. A lot of men wear hats. Do you have a name?" "No," I said, feeling silly. "I don't have a name." "Then I can't help you, miss," he said, and went back to his newspaper. I felt discouraged. It was a stupid idea. How could I find a man without a name in a whole town? But I did not give up. Every day, I continued my search. It became a part of my routine. Wake up, eat breakfast, look for the stranger, go to work, walk home, sleep. My search was not successful. I did not find the man, but I found other things. I found a new bakery that sold the most delicious apple pies. I found a little garden behind the church, full of beautiful roses. I found a small art gallery with paintings by local artists. My town was not as boring as I thought. It was full of little secrets and surprises. I just had to look for them. I was also meeting new people. The owner of the bakery, a kind old woman named Martha. The artist from the gallery, a young woman named Lily. We talked. We shared stories. I was making new friends. My world was getting bigger, and it all started with a smile. One afternoon, Clara came to me. She was holding a piece of paper. "Anna, look at this," she said, her voice excited. It was a flyer. It said, "Community Storytelling Night. This Saturday at the Town Hall. Come and share a story." "Storytelling?" I asked. "Yes," Clara said. "People from the town tell stories. True stories, funny stories, any story. And everyone listens." She pointed to the bottom of the flyer. "There will be coffee and cake." "Why are you showing me this?" I asked. Clara smiled a big, clever smile. "You have a story, Anna. A wonderful story. The story of the stranger's smile." My heart started beating fast. "No, I can't. I can't speak in front of so many people. I'm too shy." The old Anna was shy, Clara said. The new Anna is brave. The new Anna found a secret rose garden. The new Anna made friends with an artist. You can do this. I looked at the flyer. I was scared. Very scared. But another part of me was excited. My story was important to me. Maybe someone else needed to hear it. Maybe someone else needed a little bit of sun on their cloudy day. And maybe, just maybe, if I told my story, the story would find its way to the stranger. Maybe he was still in town. Maybe he would hear about it. It was a small chance. A tiny chance. But it was better than nothing. "Okay," I said, taking a deep breath. "I'll do it." Chapter 4. A story to share. The week before the storytelling night was a long week. I was nervous all the time. My hands were often cold. I could not eat much. "What if I forget my words?" I asked Clara. "You won't," she said. "Just speak from your heart." "What if people think my story is silly?" "It's not silly. It's beautiful," she said firmly. I tried to practice my story. I stood in front of the mirror in my bedroom and tried to talk, but the words did not come out right. I sounded stiff and strange. "Hello," I would say to my reflection. "My name is Anna. I want to tell you about a smile." It sounded like a line from a bad play. I was ready to give up. On Friday, the day before the event, I told Clara I couldn't do it. "I'm too scared, Clara. I'm not a storyteller." Clara put her hands on my shoulders. "Anna, listen to me. Don't try to be a storyteller. Just be you. Don't practice a speech. Just tell us what happened. Tell us how you felt. That's all." Her words helped a little. Saturday came too quickly. The storytelling night was at 7 o'clock. All day, I felt like I had a stone in my stomach. Clara came to my house to help me get ready. "You should wear your green dress," she said. "It brings out the color in your eyes." I put on the green dress. I looked at myself in the mirror. I saw a scared girl in a green dress. "You look lovely," Clara said. "Now, let's go." The town hall was full of people. I saw many familiar faces from the town. Mrs. Davis was there, without her dog. The postman was there with his wife. Martha from the bakery was there. Lily the artist was there. They all smiled and waved at me. It made me feel a little better. We found seats near the back. A man named Mr. Henderson was the host. He was a retired teacher with a kind face and a loud, happy voice. "Welcome, everyone, to our community storytelling night," he boomed. Everyone clapped. The first person to tell a story was a farmer. He told a funny story about a chicken that thought it was a dog. Everyone laughed a lot. The next person was a young woman. She told a sad story about her grandmother. Some people cried a little. Then, Lily, the artist, went up. She told a story about how she painted her first picture. It was a story full of color and passion. Every story was different. Every story was special. They were small pieces of people's lives. I was not just in a town hall. I was in a room full of hearts. Then, Mr. Henderson said, "Our next storyteller is someone new. Please give a warm welcome to Anna." Everyone clapped. Clara pushed me gently. "Go on," she whispered. "You can do it." My legs felt like jelly. I walked to the small stage. There was a single chair and a microphone. The light was bright. I could not see the faces in the audience very well. It was just a big, dark space. My heart was beating like a drum. My hands were shaking. I held them together tightly. I took a deep breath. I looked at the microphone. I did not know where to start. Then I remembered Clara's words, "Just tell us what happened." So I started. My voice was small and shaky at first. "Hello, my name is Anna," I began. I work at the library. For a long time, my life was very quiet. Every day was the same. It was like a book with only one page, and I read that page over and over again. I paused. The room was completely silent. I was not unhappy, I continued, my voice getting a little stronger, but I was not truly happy either. I was just there. And then, one day, something very small happened, but it changed everything. I told them about the Grey Tuesday. I told them about the man in the brown hat. I described his smile. I tried to use my words to paint a picture of it. It was like someone turned on a light inside me, I said. It was just a smile, from a stranger. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. But his smile told me something. It told me that the world was not all grey. It told me that there was kindness and warmth, even in unexpected places. I told them how that one smile made me see other smiles. How it made me braver. How it made me talk to my neighbors, help a woman with her groceries, and discover new places in my own town. I started looking for the man, I confessed. I wanted to find him and say thank you. I never found him. I still don't know who he is, or where he went. I looked out into the darkness, but I realized something. Maybe the best way to thank him is to pass his gift on. So now, I try to smile at people, even strangers, because you never know. A simple smile might be the little bit of sun that someone needs on a cloudy day. I finished my story. That's all. Thank you. For a moment, there was silence. Complete silence. I thought, oh no, they hated it. It was a silly story. And then, someone started to clap. Then another person. And another. Soon, the whole room was filled with the sound of applause. It was a warm, wonderful sound. I looked up, and now I could see the faces. People were smiling at me. Some were even wiping tears from their eyes. Mrs. Davis was beaming. The postman gave me a thumbs up. Clara was standing, clapping the loudest of all. I felt a wave of relief and happiness wash over me. I did it. I shared my story, and they understood. I walked back to my seat, my face red but my heart full. "You were amazing," Clara whispered, hugging me. After the event, many people came to talk to me. "That was a beautiful story, Anna," Martha from the bakery said. "It reminded me to be more grateful for the small things." "You were so brave," Lily said. "Your story was a work of art." I felt so happy, so connected to everyone. I was not just the quiet librarian anymore. I was Anna, the girl who told the story of the smile. As Clara and I were about to leave, an old man approached me. He was leaning on a cane. He had kind, blue eyes. I had seen him in the library sometimes. "Excuse me, young lady," he said in a soft voice. "Yes," I said. "That was a wonderful story," he said. "The man you described, the tall man in the brown hat." My heart skipped a beat. "Yes, do you know him?" The old man smiled a gentle, knowing smile. "I think I do," he said. "He's my son." Chapter 5, The Man in the Brown Hat. I stared at the old man. I could not speak. My mind was empty. His son? The stranger was his son? My Your son? I finally managed to say. My voice was a whisper. Yes, the old man said, his blue eyes twinkling. His name is David. He doesn't live here. He lives in the city, but he comes to visit me once a week. Every Tuesday, the day I saw him, it all made sense. He wasn't waiting for a bus. He was probably waiting for his father. Or maybe he had just left his father's house. He's a good boy, my David, the old man continued, but he has had a hard time. His wife, she passed away 2 years ago. It was very difficult for him. He became very quiet, very sad. He lost his smile. I listened, my heart aching for a man I didn't even know. A man who had given me so much with a simple gesture. For a long time, the old man said, his voice soft, I did not see him smile. A real smile, I mean. He tried, for me, but his eyes were always sad. But recently, in the last month or so, he has been different. He seems lighter, happier. The light is back in his eyes. The old man looked at me directly. He told me about it. You know, he said, Dad, something funny happened. I was having a very bad day. Everything was going wrong. I felt so heavy. I was standing on the street, just feeling sorry for myself. And then I saw this young woman. She looked a bit lost, a bit sad, just like me. And I don't know why. I just felt this sudden urge to smile at her, to give her something I didn't think I had. And I did. And the strangest thing happened. When I smiled at her, I felt better myself. It was like I was giving the smile to myself. Too. Tears were forming in my eyes. I could not stop them. The old man's name was George. He told me his son, David, had described my blue coat. That's how he knew it was me. He has been talking about that smile for weeks. George said, he calls you the girl in the blue coat. He said that your surprised face was the first thing that made him truly laugh in a long time. He said that small moment reminded him that there is still good in the world, that a connection can be made, even for a second, with a stranger. So, my story was not just my story, it was his story, too. His smile had changed my life, and my reaction to his smile had changed his. It was a circle of kindness. I wanted to thank him, I said, wiping my tears. That's why I told the story. I wanted to thank him for his smile. George patted my hand. And you did, my dear, you did more than that. You told the whole town. You reminded all of us. He smiled. And I will tell him all about tonight. He will be so happy to hear it. Where does he live? I asked, feeling bold. George lived just a few streets away from the library. David would be visiting him again this coming Tuesday. Why don't you come for tea? George asked. You can meet him properly. You can thank him yourself. The invitation was so simple, so kind. My heart was full of so many emotions. I was nervous, excited, happy. I would love that, I said. I really would. Clara had been standing by my side, listening to everything. Her eyes were wide with wonder. This is better than a movie, she whispered to me as we walked home. I couldn't sleep that night, but this time, it was not because of a mystery. It was because of the beautiful way the story was unfolding. The stranger had a name, David. He had a story. He had a father with kind blue eyes, and I was going to meet him. The next few days were a blur of happy anticipation. I felt like I was floating on a cloud. At the library, everyone who had been at the storytelling night looked at me with a new warmth. They knew my secret. They knew the story behind my smile. My small town did not feel so small anymore. It felt like a community, a family. We were all connected by these small, invisible threads of stories and shared experiences. Finally, Tuesday arrived. It was a sunny day. The sky was blue. It was the perfect day to meet the man who had brought the sun into my life. I was so nervous. I changed my clothes 3 times. I finally decided on the green dress, the one I wore for the storytelling. It felt like my lucky dress. At 4 o'clock, after work, I walked to George's house. My hands were cold again. My heart was doing a little dance in my chest. I stood in front of his door for a full minute before I could lift my hand and knock. The door opened, and there he was. He was taller than I remembered. He was not wearing a brown hat. His hair was dark and a little messy. His eyes were kind and brown, and he was smiling. Not the big, sudden smile from that first day. This was a softer, shyer smile, a smile of recognition, a smile of welcome. "Hello," he said. His voice was warm and gentle. "You must be Anna, the girl in the blue coat." "And you must be David," I said. My voice barely a whisper. The man with the beautiful smile. And in that moment, standing on the doorstep, we both started to laugh. It was a happy, wonderful sound. The circle was complete. The story had found its happy ending, or perhaps, its beautiful beginning. Chapter 6, Tea for Three. George welcomed me into his cozy little house. It smelled of old books and cinnamon. It felt like a home full of love. Come in, my dear, George said, his face beaming with happiness. David, take her coat. David took my coat, his fingers brushing against mine for a second. I felt a little jolt, like a tiny spark of electricity. He smiled at me again, and I felt my cheeks get warm. We sat in the living room. There were photographs on every wall, pictures of a smiling woman with kind eyes, David's mother, I guessed, pictures of a young David with a fishing rod, pictures of a happy family. George went to the kitchen to make tea. David and I were left alone. For a moment, we were both silent. It was a little awkward. What do you say to the stranger whose smile changed your life? I decided to be brave. The new Anna was brave. Your father told me about your wife, I said softly. I'm so sorry. David looked down at his hands. Thank you. Her name was Sarah. She was everything. He was quiet for a moment. Then he looked up at me, and his eyes were clear. For a long time, I felt like all the color was gone from the world. Everything was gray. I know that feeling, I whispered. I think you do, he said. That day, the day I saw you, you looked exactly how I felt inside. Lost, a little sad, and I don't know why, but I just wanted to see if I could change that, just for a second. For you, and for me. You did, I said, my voice full of emotion. You changed everything for me, David. You have no idea. I think I'm starting to have an idea, he said, and his smile reached his eyes. My father told me about your speech at the town hall. He said you were amazing. I blushed. It was scary, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad too, he said. It's a funny thing, isn't it? How a small, simple thing can travel so far. George came back with a tray. It had a teapot, 3 cups, and a plate of cinnamon cookies. Here we are, he said cheerfully. Tea is ready. The 3 of us sat and drank tea and ate cookies. We talked. It was easy and comfortable. It felt like I had known them for years. George told funny stories about David when he was a boy. David told me about his job in the city. He was an architect. He designed buildings. I like to create spaces for people, he said. Spaces where they can feel safe and happy. It was the perfect job for him, I thought. He was a builder of happiness. I told them about my life at the library, about Clara, and about my search for the man in the brown hat. David laughed when I told him about asking the man at the train station. I'm sorry I was so hard to find, he said, chuckling. It was a good adventure, I replied. It made me discover my own town. The afternoon sun streamed through the window, making dust particles dance in the light. It was a perfect, peaceful moment. I felt completely happy. When it was time for me to go, David walked me to the door. I'm glad I finally met you, Anna, he said. Me too, David, I said. There was another one of those quiet moments. Then David said, I'm in town every Tuesday, to see my dad. I was wondering, maybe we could have tea again next week? Just the 2 of us. My heart did a little flip. I would like that very much. He smiled that beautiful, warm smile. The one that started it all. It's a date, he said. I walked home, but I don't think my feet touched the ground. My heart was singing a happy song. A date. I had a date with David. My life, my quiet, predictable, one-page life, had suddenly turned into a whole book. A book full of surprises, and adventures, and new feelings. A book I couldn't wait to read. And it all started with a simple, unexpected gift. The smile of a stranger who was not a stranger anymore. Chapter 7, A New Routine. My routine was different now. It was still a routine, but it was a happy one, a hopeful one. Every morning, I woke up and smiled. I smiled at the gray sky. I smiled at the sunny sky. The weather didn't matter. The sun was inside me now. My walk to work was a little adventure. I didn't just see the same tree, the same car, the same cat. I noticed the small things. A new flower growing in a garden. The way the light hit the windows of the houses. The sound of children laughing on their way to school. I still said good morning to the postman, but now we often stopped and chatted for a minute. I learned his name was Tom, and he had a daughter who loved books about horses. I put a few aside for her at the library. At work, I was more than just a librarian. I was a friend to the people who came in. I talked to the old man who always read the newspaper. His name was Arthur, and he had fascinating stories about the town when he was a boy. I helped young students find books for their school projects, and I listened to their worries about their exams. The library was not just a quiet place full of books. It was a place full of life, full of stories. My story was now a part of the library's story. People would come in and ask, "Are you the girl who told the story about the smile?" And I would say yes, and we would share a smile. Clara and I were closer than ever. We had lunch together every day. I told her all about my tea with David and George. "So, you have a date," she squealed with excitement. "What are you going to wear?" We spent a whole afternoon after work looking for the perfect outfit. It was fun, like something from a movie. But the best part of my new routine was Tuesday. Tuesday was David's day. After my first date with David, we decided to make it a regular thing. Every Tuesday, after I finished work, I would meet him. Sometimes we would go for a walk in the park. Sometimes we would go to the little cafe on Main Street. Sometimes we would just sit with George and listen to his stories. I learned so much about David. I learned that his favorite color was blue, the color of the sky on a clear day. I learned that he loved to cook, but he was very messy in the kitchen. I learned that he had a dog in the city, a golden retriever named Buddy. He showed me pictures on his phone. Buddy looked like he was always smiling. David was kind, and funny, and smart, but he was also quiet sometimes. I could see the sadness still in his eyes when he talked about his wife, Sarah, but I also saw the light coming back, slowly but surely. He told me that our weekly meetings were the best part of his week. Coming back here used to be hard, he confessed one day as we were walking by the river. "This town is full of memories of Sarah, but now it's different. Now I have new memories to make, with you." His words made my heart feel full and warm. I was also changing. I was becoming more confident. I laughed more. I wasn't afraid to share my opinions or to try new things. One week, David took me to the little art gallery. Lily, the artist, was there. She was so happy to see us together. "You two look perfect together," she said, and I blushed. I was falling in love. It was a gentle, quiet falling, like a leaf floating down from a tree. It wasn't a big, dramatic thing. It was a slow, steady, and beautiful feeling. I was falling in love with a man with the beautiful smile. And I think he was falling in love with me, too. He never said it, and I never said it. We didn't need to. We could see it in each other's eyes. We could feel it in the way our hands were touched by accident. We could hear it in the comfortable silence between us. My life was no longer a single, boring page. It was a beautiful story, full of color and light, and every Tuesday was my favorite chapter. Chapter 8, The Brown Hat. A few months passed. The leaves on the trees turned from green to gold and red. Autumn came to our small town. The air was crisp and cool. My life was full of warmth. My friendship with David had grown into something deep and beautiful. We were best friends, and we were something more. We still hadn't said the words "I love you." We were taking our time. We were both quiet people. We understood that some of the most important things are felt, not said. One Tuesday, David had a surprise for me. "I want to take you somewhere special today," he said when he met me after work. He was holding a picnic basket. "A picnic? In October?" I laughed. "It's a perfect day for it," he said. "It's sunny, and I brought blankets, and hot chocolate in a thermos." He was right. It was a beautiful autumn day. The sun was bright, and the sky was a deep, clear blue. He drove us out of town, to a place I had never been before. It was a hill that overlooked the whole valley. From the top, you could see our little town nestled among the colorful trees. It was breathtaking. We spread out a big blanket and sat down. David unpacked the picnic basket. There were sandwiches, apple slices, and his famous cinnamon cookies. "George helped me," he said with a grin. We ate and talked and watched the sun begin to set. The sky turned into a painting of orange, pink, and purple. "It's beautiful," I whispered. "Not as beautiful as you," he said softly. He looked at me, his brown eyes full of a deep emotion. My heart started to beat faster. I knew this was a special moment. "Anna," he said, taking my hand, "these last few months, they have been the happiest of my life. You came into my life when everything was gray. You brought the color back. You taught me how to smile again." "You taught me, too," I said, my voice thick with tears of happiness. "I know," he said, smiling. "We saved each other, I think." He took a deep breath. Anna, I love you. I've loved you since that first day I saw you in your blue coat. Tears rolled down my cheeks. I love you too, David, I whispered. I think I've loved you since you first smiled at me. He leaned in and kissed me. It was a gentle, tender kiss. It was full of love, and gratitude, and promises. It was the most perfect kiss in the world. We sat there for a long time, holding each other, watching the stars come out. As we were packing up to leave, David reached into the basket. I have one more thing for you, he said. He pulled out an object wrapped in paper. It was a bit lumpy. I unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a hat. A familiar brown hat. I looked at it, and then at him, my eyes wide with surprise. Is this? Yes, he said. It's the hat. The one I was wearing that day. He told me the story of the hat. It had belonged to his grandfather. Then his father, George, wore it. And then George gave it to him. It's a family hat, he said. But it's more than that. It's my lucky hat. I was wearing it the day I met you. He looked a little nervous. I know it's silly, but I wanted you to have it. As a symbol of how our story started. I took the hat. It was soft and well worn. I could feel the history in it. I could feel the love. I put it on my head. It was a little big, but I didn't care. David laughed. It looks better on you. We drove back to town in a comfortable, happy silence. My heart was so full, I thought it might burst. I was holding the brown hat in my lap. That night, I put the hat on the shelf in my bedroom, right next to my favorite books. It was a reminder that sometimes, the most wonderful stories start in the most unexpected ways. They can start on a normal, gray day. They can start on a street corner. They can start with a smile of a stranger. Chapter 9, A Full Circle. The next year was a year of happy firsts. Our first Christmas together, we spent it with George. We decorated his little house, baked cookies, and sang carols. David gave me a beautiful silver locket. Inside, I put a tiny picture of him smiling. Our first spring, we planted a garden in George's backyard. We planted roses, just like the ones in the secret garden I had found. David wasn't a very good gardener, but he was a very good helper. We laughed a lot, covered in dirt. Our first summer vacation, we went to the sea. We walked on the beach, holding hands. We swam in the cool water. David tried to teach me how to build a sandcastle. We failed, but it was a happy failure. David was spending more and more time in our town. He still worked in the city, but he arranged his schedule so he could work from George's house 3 days a week. I like it here, he said. The city is too loud. This town, this is home now, because you're here. One beautiful evening in early autumn, exactly 1 year after our picnic on the hill, David took me back to that same spot. The leaves were turning gold and red again. The air was crisp and cool. We sat on the same blanket, watching the same beautiful sunset. My heart knew that this was another special moment. David took my hand. He was not nervous this time. He was calm and sure. Anna, he said, his voice clear and strong. A year ago, on this hill, I told you that I loved you. My feelings have only grown stronger every day since then. You are my best friend, my partner, my son on a cloudy day. He got down on one knee. He pulled a small box from his pocket. My hands flew to my mouth. Tears were already in my eyes. He opened the box. Inside was a simple, beautiful ring. A small, sparkling diamond on a silver band. Anna, he said, his eyes locked on mine. Will you marry me? Will you make my life a beautiful story, forever? I couldn't speak. I just nodded, crying and laughing at the same time. Yes, I finally managed to say. Yes, David, 1,000 times. Yes. He slid the ring onto my finger. It was a perfect fit. He stood up and kissed me, and the whole world seemed to celebrate with us. We told George the news that night. He hugged us both, his kind blue eyes wet with tears. I knew it from the very beginning, he said. I knew you were special, Anna. Clara was my maid of honor, of course. She cried more than I did when I told her. I'm so happy for you, she said. It's the perfect ending to the story. It's not the ending, I told her, smiling. It's the beginning. We got married the following spring, in the little church with a secret rose garden behind it. It was a small, simple wedding. All our friends from the town were there. The postman, Tom, Martha from the bakery, Lily the artist, Arthur, the old man from the library, our family, our community. I wore a simple white dress, and in my hands, I carried a bouquet of white roses from our garden. David was waiting for me at the altar. He was wearing a handsome dark suit. He looked at me with so much love. My heart felt like it was flying. As I walked down the aisle, I saw all the smiling faces. All these people were a part of our story. Their smiles were a part of our happiness. After the ceremony, as we were walking out of the church, hand in hand, a little girl came up to me. She was holding a single, perfect red rose. "This is for you," she said shyly. I bent down. "Thank you. What is your name?" "Lucy," she said. "That's a beautiful name," I said. "And this is a beautiful rose." I smiled at her. A big, warm, happy smile. The little girl's face lit up. She smiled back, a huge, toothy grin. And in that moment, I saw it all again. The power of a simple, kind gesture. The way a smile can travel from one person to another, creating a chain of warmth and happiness. My story had come full circle. I was once the girl who received a smile from a stranger. Now, I was giving that same gift to someone else. I looked at my husband, David. He was watching me, his eyes full of love. He knew exactly what I was thinking. He leaned down and whispered in my ear, "Pass it on." And I knew that's what we would do. We would spend the rest of our lives passing on the kindness, the love, and the smiles. We would build a life that was a beautiful story, not just for us, but for everyone around us, all because of a stranger who wasn't a stranger at all, but the beginning of everything.